Remember when 50 Cent said, oh, LA's done. LA is hosed. This new zero cash bail bond system, that's just going to be catch and release. Catch and release. That's not going to do any good. You're just going to have more and more criminals engage in that behavior because they know there's no repercussions for their actions. Well, now, as of October 1st, all of LA County is basically zero bail policy. If you commit a murder or something crazy like that, maybe something really violent, you might get a little bit of bail required by a judge. But that means you have to go in front of like a magistrate to have that happen. But now you've got 12 LA counties and Sacramento, their city council, we're going to talk about that, just committed to joining this lawsuit as well. So you've got some reasonable cities here within LA County that are saying, I don't think zero bail bond is a thing. I don't think that's really going to help us out. In fact, we believe that is going to, encourage criminals to commit more crimes because why wouldn't they? It's catch and release. Hey, just get out same day. No problem. We got nothing on the line as far as this criminal charge. Keep doing it. Crime pays. Let's go. Here we go. Let's get into this one. Let's talk about it. We're going to check out a couple of articles here. We've got 12 LA County cities sue to postpone new zero bail policy. 12 LA counties file a lawsuit Friday seeking to postpone the controversial, this is a couple of weeks ago, postpone the controversial new zero bail policy that allows some nonviolent offenders charged with felonies or misdemeanors to be cited and released after being arrested. The cities of Whittier, Arcadia, Artesia, Covina, Downey Glenora, Industry, Lakewood, Laverne, Palmdale, Santa Fe Springs, and Vernon are seeking an injunction to postpone the implementation of the LA County Superior Court's zero bail schedule, which went into effect Sunday, according to a news release from the city of Glendora. The new bail policy was imposed by court officials who argued that a defendant's ability to pay bail should not be the key factor in determining whether they stay in jail after an arrest. Here's where I would want to interject and say, yeah, but unless they have some skin in the game, they're not going to show up for that court date. And they're oftentimes not. What you are seeing right now, so many instances of people out with the court date, zero bail, go out and commit again. It's just rinse, repeat. It's happening. And it's also encouraging these criminals. It's one more factor within the system that they know that no matter what, the world's their oyster. Go out and commit as many crimes as you want, as long as they're not really serious ones. As long as you don't murder somebody, you're golden. And they know that. And even if you murder somebody, and we had an assassination attempt in the central area in Seattle. Car rolls by, starts shooting at this guy. He hits the ground and he starts crawling forward. There's clearly some gang activity. It was right in front of a daycare in the central area. I think they took 24 kids and had them all crawl to the back of the daycare center. Get out of the way of the front window. They're shooting. They're shooting at that poor man out there. No, it was it was a hit, straight up hit with that kind of thing. So no bail for the shooter. No, they didn't catch him. So much of this stuff is, I called it, Colonel Clank, but Colonel Clank was the colonel. Sergeant Schultz is, I see nothing. He was that guy. And so we've got this whole environment out there where, no, I didn't see anything. Nothing. I saw nothing. You were standing right there and the shooting happened in front of you. What's up with that? Would you mind giving us a little bit more information? We need to know so that we can try and find these people and arrest them. I didn't see anything. Weird. Everybody in the crowd of 200 around watching this shooting took place, they're all saying, I see nothing. Sergeant Schultz, Hogan's Heroes, right? What an epic show. Yep. The so-called zero bail schedule has been a controversial issue around the country, with criminal justice reform advocates arguing that pretrial releases should be based on an individual's criminal history, not on an arbitrary dollar amount. Well, it seems like these folks are just getting out anyway. So how's that working out? This whole justice reform system, how's that going? Right? How's that going? Doesn't seem like it's going all that well, right? It just doesn't. It seems like you've just got more and more criminal activity because the ones committing the crimes, they know they can get away with it. There's just no repercussions for their actions. How about car theft is one that I watch all the time because people need their cars. Shootings? How about down in Portland where you've got murders just off the hook? They're going to have a record-setting year. How about shootings and murders in Chicago? What was I watching the other day? It was Let's Go Brandon Johnson. He was worried about some ridiculous thing. And all I could think of is how many people are being killed in your community and you're working on that? It was probably some environmental deal. All right, let's bring down the carbon footprint of our delivery trucks and the city system because that's really important. And meanwhile, all of our constituents are... Yeah, it's not going well for them. Under the new schedule, almost all defendants accused of nonviolent felonies or misdemeanors in LA County will either be cited and released, catch and release, or freed on certain terms. All right, we need you to promise that you're going to show up in court and conditions after judicial review within 24 hours of arrest. So they're basically going to be let go, unless it's the most horrific of criminal charges. And even then, we're seeing these really soft on crime judges. Some say they might be backed by Soros. Oof, yeah. Get into that one, right? And you know what? And you've got recalls going on Soros-backed DAs happening right now in San Francisco, happening right now. A person's ability to pay a large sum of money should not be the determining factor in deciding whether that person who is presumed innocent stays in jail before trial or is released. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. That's my opinion. It comes down to that. All right. You know this is going to happen to you. You make the choice to do it anyway. You don't have any money because you're leading this criminal lifestyle and you're just not able to put away enough from your criminal lifestyle to, have a big savings. So now you're expecting the rest of society to let you loose because you can't afford to pay. At some point in time, you got to say there's some personal responsibility involved. And this whole thing with the judicial system, this is not going in the right direction any which way. It's just not. Any determination of an arrestee's status after arrest but before being charged should be based on an individualized determination of risk and likelihood to return to court. We are seeing some crazy stuff go on in the streets, and these people are let right back out. Having a talk with a man in blue down in Portland where they brought in state troopers, Oregon State Patrol, to help out with downtown Portland because downtown Portland doesn't have enough cops. And so they're always shy in, XYZ number per shift, always. And it seems like that's always going on. And yeah, they've had a little bit of overtime money, double overtime money, but it sounds like that may not be a long-term thing either. So we're going to bring in some Oregon State Patrol. And one of the comments that I do remember, a text I had back and forth, was they were kind of, the word wasn't shocked, but they were, how about this? This is how the media always couches it. They were concerned that offenders were out same day back on the streets doing the exact same thing that they just arrested them for. Weird. Because state troopers, they work a different beat, obviously, than a downtown, different set of judges. And so that's what you've got going on, right? Is that a different set of judges? Same judges, different area, different geographic area. A low-risk arrestee should not be held in jail simply because they cannot post the necessary funds to be released pending arraignment. Yeah, no. If you can't post bond, then, you should be considering that up front. This is how this works. And to go against that, you are literally saying to the criminals, it's go time, guys. Get out there, do your best, do what you can, because there's nothing to stop you. There is no repercussions for your actions. There has to be repercussions for your actions. Is bail bond the best way to do it? I mean, you could make a million different arguments, yes and no, but it's the system we've got. Now you're tweaking that system. How's that working out? Is crime going down? Is crime going down? So the city is seeking the injunction. Here's the con on this argument. This is why we don't want this no bail to go in place. The city is seeking the injunction, claim that the bail schedule will result in a significant increase in criminals released back into the community after their arrest. Agreed. 100% agreed. And why is that? Because we're watching that happen in real time. Oh, he's out on what? I am shocked. What? He's out on charges for what? Oh, I am shocked. How often do you hear that? How often do you read that? Oh, yeah, he's already got an outstanding warrant for what? Yeah, or he's on probation or whatever. But we're just like, all right, well, I guess we'll just let him out and we'll see what he gets himself into this time. Never mind the public safety of the constituents of the area. It should work out. It's our duty to this community to ensure the safety of those who live here, work here, and visit, said Glendora Mayor Gary Boyer, said in the release. The zero bail schedule fails to support local leaders in their pledge to protect their residents, and that is unacceptable. 100% agreed. 100% agreed there. So in the new bail schedule, you can do things like home supervision with probation officials or electronic monitoring according to the schedule. Judge will be available. The misdemeanor offenses will still require cash bail, include domestic battery, stalking in violation of a protection order. People accused of manslaughter, the R word, murder, and most types of assault will still have to pay high cash bail amounts because they should be incarcerated. Just boom. They're a risk. Innocent until proven guilty. All right. Yeah, maybe. All right. Let's move on to the second part. So here is yet another city. This is Santa Monica. Santa Monica Council votes 4-3 to participate in new zero bail lawsuit. You've got city after city after city that are going down this road of, I don't think, here's the actual story. I don't think this is in our best interest. What's interesting is that these cities that I just read, they are kind of to the north and east of Los Angeles, right? They're not far out west where all the craziness goes on. So different markets. Now you've got Santa Monica saying, you know what? This whole zero bail policy, we're not really on board with that. That's a no-go. In Tuesday's significantly longer than usual city council meeting, council members voted 4-3 to join a lawsuit over the county's newly implemented zero bail system, with the issue apparently causing some emotional discussion during closed session. How people think that this is a good idea and how this is good for their communities. I mean, if you've been accused of a crime, you got yourself into a mess, right? So you're going to have to work your way through. You might say, well, it's not fair if you don't have any. Well, and you start looking through these cases so often. This is not their first offense. They knew what they were getting into. It's not like these are children with their first offense. We've got a whole system for them that's set aside, right? So many of these folks have massive priors that we're looking at. Starting October 1st, every police agency in the county has to follow a new bail system. We talked about that. According to the Santa Monica Police Department, officers now have 3 choices. Number 1, cite and release. Cite and release. Arrestee is released at the location of the arrest. Number 2, we got book and release. Arrestee is booked into jail, so they take him into jail, book him then, and then released on their own recognizance or magistrate review. And these are select cases referred to an on-call magistrate. It's the magistrate I talked earlier. And then the judge has to figure it out. So based on whatever their charges were, they either get released, and these criminals know, all right, this is what's going to happen to me. Virtually nothing. And then a lot of these charges, they don't get prosecuted, right? Well, there's not enough of a case here. Dismissed. Kids, you're free to go about the country and do your criminal activity thing. Just keep it up, guys. Doing a great job. Most suspects are charged with petty crimes like property crimes, minor theft, and vehicle violations that will be covered by cite or book and release. A judge will be called in when a suspect's crimes pose an increased risk to the public. In those cases, it'll be up to the court to decide what terms of release are assigned to that suspect. The most serious crimes like murder will not qualify for pre-arraignment release. So, you got the argument of the poor can't afford it. They shouldn't be incarcerated. My thought on that is if they have no skin in the game, then they're just going to keep doing the same thing they're going to do because they've got no repercussions for their actions. That's my thought. And if they have to think, you know what, maybe I shouldn't, there's no accountability, right? There's no accountability. If you have to think about doing something, then maybe that's that split second where you're like, nah. But the system I see here, all this does is critics say it will contribute to rising crime trends. And that is what we are seeing. And I think we are seeing rising crime trends in far larger numbers than are being reported because people have given up and they no longer call 911. They no longer file a police report on whatever it is that's happening to them. So the article goes on to say how that whole thing went. It came down to like one vote, but you got to remember this is in Santa Monica. And that is, from my understanding, it's a little bit more conservative, got a little bit more money. You've got a little bit of stake of life at stake. Whereas in other areas of LA County, it's just a free for all, right? It's a free for all. So why not just let those who are really running the criminal activity ramp things up to get to their full potential as criminals. I don't see this whole zero bail thing going the right direction. This will be one of those experiments where it's like defunding the police. Okay, how did that work out? Are we still going down that road of defund? No, we're not. Are we? No, we're not. So I see this as going the same direction. And maybe we'll circle back and go, you know what? We tried that. And, if we just had enough time, we would have made it work. The stats would have turned back around. Now, the defund the police, that has been such an abject disaster. That's all you can call it, right? It's all you can call it because nobody's calling for that anymore, except for the extreme folks on the far left. And they're just being mocked. It's like, really? All right. Your community isn't safe and you want to get rid of more police that you don't have. That's an interesting approach. That's not a popular approach anymore. It was super popular after the George Floyd deal, right? Super popular. I was watching some of the Black Lives Matter and Antifa where they, mostly peaceful, looted and broke windows and robbed stores and assaulted people, mostly peacefully. And then I went down a rabbit hole of the whole Rodney King thing. And we had the rooftop Koreans. That was fascinating. I mean, to just watch a community come together, arm a bunch of their own on the rooftops. And as these rioters came towards their community, little bit of a pushback. That was wild. Rooftop Koreans. I mean, it was like 4 days of that. Just an absolute war in the streets. I think that was South Central LA. Streets of LA for sure. I'm pretty sure it was South Central because that's where that Rodney King thing happened, right? I mean, just to watch that was like, oh, yeah, this is something else. It's also kind of like I think it was Memorial Day. I read the story about the Army Rangers basically going head to head with gang members, gang bangers in Tacoma in like 1989, something like that. There was a ranger that bought an affordable house in Tacoma in the Hilltop District, which is a little tough. Used to appraise there back in the day. And it, bullet holes and aluminum doors were not uncommon. Just say that. But Ranger bought a house there because the big Air Force base in Tacoma area. And so, he's living there and he starts tussling with some of the folks who don't appreciate him not really conforming to their way of living in society. And they made it known to this ranger that things were going to go south for him if he didn't conform to their ideology of how things should go in the central district, in the Hilltop area. And he brought in his ranger friends and they had a massive shootout. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured. But back in the day, the police are like, yeah, we don't really recommend this, but fortunately nobody was killed. So we'll just kind of keep moving forward. That's a big story that's out there. It's like people taking charge because the police are not available or don't have interest or whatever the case may be in defending said area. Rooftop Koreans? Yeah, that was something else. The Rangers bringing all their buddies and just hunkered down and the house just gets, shot up like there's no tomorrow. Are we going to see more cases of that kind of thing? We're already seeing that happen on the streets where this kind of stuff in areas where you've got a little bit more safety, public safety and control, and actually you have a judicial system that is working. You're not seeing this stuff as much, right? We've got these harebrained ideas that, all right, yeah, no cash bail. It's going to be great. It's going to, level the playing field for everyone to commit crimes. That's the way I see it. I mean, it's just an encouragement for that criminal element to just do their thing with yet less filter to catch them in the process. One of the other things I was reading is, with the no bail or just letting catch and release, is it doesn't give people that are wildly addicted to drugs, doesn't give them that little bit of interim when they're in jail to dry out and maybe make some better choices moving forward. So, because so much of what we're seeing has to do with drug addiction today in the criminal system. That's another one of those little bits and pieces of the puzzle that if they're cooling their jets in jail, in lockup, maybe they get a, divine intervention that they need to go down a different direction. Instead, if they're catch and release, they're back out that next afternoon or whatever, doing their same thing. And there's literally no interruption to their criminal activity. So there you go. So I think you will see, I think they'll get traction with this case. You've got enough big cities willing to go down that road. They'll get some kind of injunction. They'll duke it out. You'll have a bunch of left-wing nut jobs. It's the greatest thing ever. Meanwhile, you just got shootouts left and right. It's like, no, that's not the greatest thing ever. This really isn't helping your community. You have to have some kind of repercussions for actions. And this going down this road that we are, which is, you know what, let's just get rid of the police. Let's defund them. Let's get rid of the judicial system. Let's get rid of judges. Let's get rid of prisons. Let's get rid of no cash bail. Those are all on the same agenda, aren't they? Yeah. Huh. Whose agenda is that? Yeah. To get back to you on that one, right? We all know. Thanks again for being here. I will catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.